So Reynaldo, it's Champs Weekend. How big a weekend is this for anyone that doesn't know? Can you explain the magnitude of this weekend in athletics in Jamaica?
So it's a high school championship, but for us it's considered to be the high school Olympics because we have over 100 schools participating in each gender, and then naturally all those kids have parents who are going to be supporting them, whether in person or on the TV, wearing their school colors everywhere. So it's like a national event. It is a national event. So even persons where if you're in a shop, if you're in the store, all the TVs are going to be tuned in. It is the event of the year. It is probably the only event that will fill the stadium each year. So it's really huge for us, and the spectators, the kids who are participating, the administrators, they do understand the significance because it is like the springboard for the real Olympics. So very, very important.
Is this the event that does so much to sort of build the athletics culture in Jamaica, and does everything sort of spread off this event?
Definitely, this is the event because like when you're in high school, you're here for like 5 years, sometimes 6, and sometimes you do well, sometimes you may not, but it builds a culture, it builds the know-how, and it also gives you the experience where when you get to the world stage, it's nothing new. I've heard athletes say it over and over that champs prepared them for the Olympic Games or World Championship because when they hear the crowds, when they see the crowds first, when they hear the noise, they're like, okay, it's gonna be okay because I felt this before in Jamaica. I've had this experience before, and it sort of creates some level of calmness. I mean, however calm it can be while standing at the Olympics or the World Championships in an individual event. So it is, if you realize other Caribbean countries would have done well at Olympic Games with different outstanding persons, but Jamaica has probably been the most consistent at doing it over and over. And when you go into the last day at Champs, you'll just feel this pandemonium. You'll automatically understand why, because even if not everybody is successful, you just need a few to be successful from this thing and you're fine.
Yeah, there are so many big names have come through the Champs, as you say. When you're looking towards the next generation, a lot of the big names, Shelly-Ann and Elaine, who you coach, they're coming towards the end of their careers. Do you see a strong next generation coming through at the moment?
Extremely strong. For the last 3 years, Champs has seen records which we thought were untouchable, records which were set by the great Veronica Campbell, amongst others, are being broken. These juniors are running times that back maybe 15 years ago only seniors would run. So we are not very concerned that, say it the next way around. We are very, very confident that going forward we will have like a conveyor belt of athletes to represent. Will they be as great as Shelly-Ann or Elaine? Maybe not, maybe so, but the competition is a lot and we have a lot of kids to choose from. So we are very, very confident that things are going to continue to go well for us.
How much pressure is on athletes in this country? Because there is so much more attention placed on them in this sport.
Most of the kids, they start out as a fun event, first and foremost. And sometimes you'll find that the kids, they pressure themselves more than the coaches, because we have to be talking them down from some crazy goals, and achievements. So we never want to tell a child that this is impossible or whatever, but sometimes we want to just caution them to say, hey, it's okay if you win and didn't break the record. It's okay if you didn't make the finals, because the times here that are making the finals, especially for the older kids, it will be equivalent to the under 20 times or the under 20 championship. So a lot of times the kids will get disappointed because they didn't do as good as they hoped. But in reality, if you compare them to their age group worldwide, they're awesome. So some pressure is there from expectations from the nation and the spectators, but most of the time the kids are just so overmotivated because they would have had a cousin, a neighbor, or even somebody from their school who they would have seen gone on to do great things. And the effect of that is that if somebody close to you does it, you automatically feel that you can do it too. And you hold that belief so strong. And it's just for us, the administrators, the coaches, just to support those dreams and also try to keep them in a healthy way, in a healthy space, so that they don't get frustrated if they don't achieve the dreams immediately.
Yeah. You've spoken about the Champs. how much of a team environment it is, how people identify with each school. You know, there is a lot of discussion in athletics just now about how you get that level of engagement, you know, across the sport, making people care. So what kind of lessons do you think the sport as a whole could learn from what happens in this country?
I think it's really a big discussion that needs to be had, because it's no surprise history has shown us that team sports does better spectator-wise, because with individual sports, individuals come and go so quickly sometimes. One of the names we mentioned earlier, Usain and even Shelly-Ann and Elaine, outside of just being phenomenal in terms of their overall times and the ability to win, they have stayed longer than most. And they stayed because they have been successful. But if you support a football club, even if the great player is no longer playing, the club is still there. So for sure, I'm happy that you pointed out that here in Jamaica, we really support the schools, and the supporters go in the stadium supporting the school, whether it's their child or not, they're supporting the school. So I think it's a wide discussion needs to be had from World Athletics come down, where how can we sell athletics as more of a team sport, where the individual athletes will get recognized for their individual achievements, yes, but the supporters, the fans will still see it as a team, where they don't have to be caught up with keeping track of any one individual star. They just keep track of their team, and because it's way easier that way. Because even sometimes when the Olympic comes along, the Jamaican crowd may not know all the Jamaican Olympians, but they just see the color, they see the flag, and they'll be like, that's a Jamaican, I'm cheering. So we definitely need to find a way to recreate that culture, not just at the games, because at the games it's automatically there. But we need the momentum before, like at the Diamond League meets, at the individual meets. How do we find a way to format that it comes off in a team fashion? And I also believe that if it's in a team fashion, then even lower ranked athletes, their importance will be higher valued because their points counts too. So it could be a great idea that we're, exploring here. I'm not sure how we go about it, but again, we have experts. If you sit around a table, sit in a forum, then we can probably hammer it out. I'm really excited. I'm really excited about the thought process. I'm very, very intrigued now, because just by asking me that question, I'm just here thinking like, how do we make this work? And because it could work. Are we going to do a club system, or are we going to make it a nationalistic system in terms of when you compete on a day-to-day basis, and how will that feed into the overall championship at the end? So yeah, I'm intrigued.
Because we have to try, as you say, you're not sure how it works, but we have to try. These things need to be looked at, ideas explored.
Right. And even when your son or your daughter graduates from the school, you still support the school because they went there.
Yeah.
And if it's only individual based and the individual walks away, then you may walk with that individual. So yeah, we definitely need that team setting, however it is laid out, however that structure is. So to keep people interested, keep them involved. It's my team, it's my team, it's my team. So yeah, good thought.
And when you're looking ahead to Paris, you're obviously a busy man this year, with Elaine Thompson-Herah and Shelly-Ann. How are they? How has it been sort of working with both of them since Elaine joined, obviously, a few months ago?
I find it pretty easy to work with them, because high achievers, I'm learning this too, they are so focused on themselves and focused on bettering their craft that you'll find that maybe sometimes as the coach I struggle to keep up with them, because they'll be thinking ahead, all right coach, how does my day look tomorrow? What do I have? So I can properly schedule out myself, properly get myself recovered. So because I know that, it also forces me to up my game, because I'm like, Shelly-Ann is not going to be late. Elaine isn't going to be late ever. So that means I need to be there even extra early just to ensure that I'm not late. I need to ensure that I'm very, very rested so that I can match their energy. I remember one time Shelly-Ann said to me, she was like, hey coach, we've got this. Just match my energy and we're going to be all right. So you find that coaching them, it's more they're in the front sometimes and you're just there being their support cast to keep not grounded, but just to keep them in line with your goals, because sometimes their passion will allow them to overdo So you're there more as a caution to stop here and say, okay, give a little more here, but it's so easy. I think it's so easy. I mean, when problems comes along, then that part is difficult, but not because they are difficult. They work so hard, they are so committed. For me, I'm still in awe in terms of just the work ethic, because I used to see myself as somebody who works hard, yeah, but working with them, you're like, oh, this is interesting, I have to up my game too. I need to keep pace. And there's just this high belief in self. They have the ability to zone out everything else, focus on their day-to-day task, and not be bothered by anything that's happening. So if it's raining, they're still turning up. And they're not turning up and staying in the car. If it's 5 a.m. or 5:30, they're gonna put on their rain jacket and they're gonna go out. And then automatically, as a result of that type of attitude, the younger ones will just follow, because like, if they're doing it, then why am I to not do it? And for them, I realize it's not a question if I should go out or not. It's not a choice. If training is at 5 or 7 or 10, even if it's raining, it's still training in their mind, and you have to be the one to say, come back a bit, it may not be so safe, but yeah, for me, it's a pleasure, and I hope that going forward, I continue to see that in the younger athletes, that level of commitment, that level of dedication, that level of focus. It definitely really makes my job easier, and it pushes me as an individual just to keep up with them. I mean, I'm not competing with them, but sometimes it feels like I am, because I can't afford to turn up game there and not be ready, because I know they're going to be ready. I can't be the weak link, so yeah, that's just my experience with them.
Do they train together, or is it sort of separate sessions that they do?
Different sessions may cross path, so it all depends on what they have to do. So, and that holds true for all the members of the group, based on their own needs and their own, nuances. So, depending on their situation, like, so one person is better off with one thing, another person is better off with the next thing, and they also have very busy schedules where they have commitments where they may be off to do a photo shoot and you have to facilitate somebody in the afternoon, facilitate somebody in midday, or they have a flight and you have to come out at 4 a.m. So whatever the session requires, we do what's needed for each of them to just get their best done, and for each of the other athletes just the same.
Yeah, and you're in a business of finding fractions of a second.
Yes.
How do you go about doing that? I guess with the two athletes we've talked about, it's just small changes here and there, nothing crazy.
Right, and they do understand that, and I try to observe, make my notes, figure out which instruction will yield the biggest benefit, but also try not to overdo, try not to reinvent anything, because again, they're not novices.
Yeah.
And they would have done a lot of great things, correct things in the past. So it's a fine line where I want to reinforce this, but I don't want to touch that. So again, it comes back to also the relationship where we can sit and we can talk things through. It is not me telling them to do this or you must do this. It's a it's a group effort where, okay, this is how things look. These three things seem to be an issue, but let's work on this one first, because, and I get a feedback, and then we have a game plan and we go and execute that game plan together. So most times I don't feel like I'm coach athlete, I feel like I'm a friend. I mean, I think I'm a friend. I think they see me as a friend too, in the most respectful way, where we understand, we care for each other, we want the best for each other, we want the best result that we can get, and what happens to one happens to all. So if you lose, I lose. If you win, I win. So we are connected, we're joined, inseparable. So that's the relationship I have with my athletes, and that's just the way I know how to do it.
And is there a wide enough an appreciation of just how good those two women have been?
So there are some communities in the sport or even worldwide that definitely do appreciate it, but would I want more for them? The answer is definitely yes, because they are at the extreme ends of success. And in comparison to say maybe other sports, I just don't feel like they get that. But I'm still hopeful. They're still competing, and I'm sure they're going to add to the accolades that they already have. And they may just be the catalyst for younger women, the next generation, to even benefit more, even if their achievement is less. So I'm still hopeful, I'm still optimistic that eventually they can be marketed, highlighted, celebrated in the way that I truly think that they deserve. Because they're not just one of the best athletes, whatever. I think they're just some of the best athletes ever. Not female athletes either, just ever. So eventually I'm hoping that that gets celebrated. I'm hoping that they get the recognition, the platform, just to continue to expand, because they have a lot to offer to the world. Because whatever they have achieved, that's not by accident. Great things don't happen by accident. And if they get the platform, if they get the opportunities to be able to spread that knowledge, spread that culture, spread just even their way of thinking, how to get things done, even if it's not in sport, then it can make a world of difference, I think.
Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thanks
a lot. Thank you. How's your? So are you straight out to the stadium after this, or are you?
Not quite. I'm going to try and get some rest because I have practice earlier.
Yeah.
And then maybe I make my way down.
I could understand yesterday, so having been at the track session yesterday, I can understand why it's so early, training so early, because the sun just goes bang. Yeah. Well, all the best for the summer, and yes, thank you very much again. Thanks.